Hey guys, if you don't know me, my name is David Shirk. Ariana and I have been in Kajabi for almost 6 years, and Pastor Benja asked if I could record just a quick note of encouragement to you guys. I will leave the major spiritual discussions to the pastors, but I do want to share something that's been kind of meaningful to me in the past couple of weeks. And where this came from, it's from a devotion I've been following, but it talks about initiation rites for these guys studied initiation rites of different people around the world, and their takeaways from what kids need to know as they grow into adulthood, right? And they found these 5 common denominators, and at first they sound really harsh, but I think it's helpful, especially during this time, because they're the rules of the game, right? That this is what we're born into, this is what we've inherited, and fighting against these realities is impossible. So I want to share them with you, but then also the flip side, right? Because there's these realities that on the face are common to all of us as humans, but then there's the reality that is in Jesus. And so I want to share these with you real quick. Number 1, life is hard. I mean, obviously, right? But we are in a really hard season. We all hope it's short. The further it goes on, I don't think it's going to be. It's a hard time, and there's no way to sugarcoat it. It's just going to be hard right now. Number 2, you are not important. We would all like to think that ourselves and our needs and me, I is the most important thing in the world, but the reality is we're not that important as individuals, right? Number 3, your life is not about you. Obviously we think it's bad to be selfish, but life does not revolve around us, right? There's so many different factors and so many different needs and wants and desires, and it's just not all about me as an individual. Number 4, you are not in control. I wrestle with this one every single day, especially during this crisis. I really, really, really want to have control. I want to have all the PPEs. I want to have all the masks. I want to have whatever we need. I want to have patients flowing in the doors all the time. I want to control things, but I am not in control, right? Number 5, you are going to die. This is reality, right? We can be worried appropriately. We can be concerned. We can respond, but we're going to die one way or the other. Hopefully it's not now. Hopefully it's not from this COVID-19 crisis, but at some point we are going to die, and we have to think about that, right? So these are the 5 fundamental truths of being human and being born into this world. And why are they encouraging? Because they give the framework for what Jesus does and who he is in our lives, right? I read you a quote that I really think is fantastic, but it says, I believe the Christian faith is saying that the pattern of transformation is always death transformed, not death avoided. The universal spiritual pattern is death and resurrection, or loss and renewal. That is always a disappointment to humans because we want one without the other, transformation without cost or surrender. Right? We would love if life was easy, if we were all important, the most important, if life was all about us, if we were in control, if we would live forever. But the reality is that we have to die to these things to get to what Jesus has for us, right? And so let me present the truths yet what Jesus says, right? Because there's always a yet or a but in the teaching of Jesus. So number 1, life is hard, and yet Jesus says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Think about that. We are in a really, really hard time. Yet Jesus knew hard times. He walked through them. He cried. He was beaten. He honestly knew harder times than most of us have ever experienced. So the yet, life is hard, yet there is hope and there is goodness, and we can rest in the trust that God is for us. Number 2, you are not important, and yet Jesus says, rejoice because your name is written in heaven. Right? We are, in one manner of speaking, we're these little organisms on a rock floating through the universe. Yet the Creator of the universe loves us dearly. That's profound and amazing. Number 3, your life is not about you. Rather, your life is hidden with Christ in God. He is your life, and when He is revealed, you will be revealed in all your glory with Him. It's amazing that somehow life is not about me, yet God loves me dearly and imparts on me and you some of His glory and gives us His work to do in the world. So it is all about Him, but He somehow chooses to participate with us. And that's just an amazing, amazing gift. Number 4, it is true that you are not in control. For can any of you, for all your worrying, add a single moment to your span of life? I love this passage that God will clothe the lilies of the field. He will feed the sparrows. He knows the number of hairs on our head. He knows us by name. And He will care for us, whatever the outcome. He will love us. And the greatest demonstration of that is number 5. It is true that you are going to die, and yet, to quote Paul in Romans, I am certain of this, neither death nor life, nothing that exists, nothing still to come, nor any power or any height or depth, nor anything else in all of creation can come between us and the love of God. We are going to die, but nothing, not even death, can separate us from the love of God. It's just a huge, fantastic, amazing promise. And again, Paul is another person who suffered more than most of us ever will. He was beaten, he was imprisoned, he was shipwrecked, he was stoned, he was flogged. Yet, he found out through all this suffering that his hope in God was far greater still, right? And so, for all of you guys, for me personally, I have to preach to myself also, I pray that we could rest in the love of God, that God loves us dearly, and that whatever the outcome is right now, God is for us and with us and not against us. Thank you guys. Love y'all. Bye.